What's up, Faith family, and welcome back to Daddy's Girl Podcast. Today, we're coming to you from the waiting room.
Jeez.
The sacred space between promise and fulfillment. So I have a special guest with me today. This is a man of God, a made man, still being molded, waiting to be pinned,
yes.
yet already marked.
Oh, hey, yes,
a worshiper,
a
a man that takes care of people's health care,
sports
medicine, a student on the road to his doctorate,
yes.
Our brother, your cousin, Mr. Aaron Jackson.
Happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you as my first guest.
Hey man, I'm happy to be here. Happy to give just tap in and have some good conversation on truly the goodness of God, right? I think we talk about this a lot offline and how good God truly is. Even in the season that we're in of waiting. I think God is always faithful, and it's in his faithfulness that we can rest that everything is going to be all right.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be here, happy to talk. I'm a certified yapper, so if I got to help me, Holy Ghost.
Twin. We good, gang. That's what we do.
Let's go.
But I honestly, the Lord chose this subject.
Yeah.
Just as we've been talking and going through life in these last few months, weeks, and this is a season that we're both going through and we've been going through.
Yeah.
And I think that not just us, but others have experienced the weight. Yeah. And a lot of people don't know how to navigate that.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still learning as well.
Of course.
But I feel like that's just something that's not spoken about as much, and I'd love for us to shine some light on what God has been sharing through this season for the both of us.
Yeah.
So, hold on, let me take a sip. As I was preparing for this chat with you, the Lord had given me a couple of thoughts, and I mean, I'm sure as you've been preparing, you've had some thoughts, and I'd like to get those fresh thoughts out the way before we start asking some questions. And we're like, this is literally just gonna be a conversation, but I wanna have some intentional conversation. So there's a couple things I want to hit on, but so something we had spoken about a couple weeks ago was like, how did I get here? When do we realize that we're in a waiting season? Like, what moment is it? Then we're like, okay, we're waiting. Like, I'm in a waiting season.
If I'm being honest, I think there's multiple ways you can answer that question. But I think for me in the season that I'm in, it didn't happen. This season didn't happen without other seasons previously, right? It was like a culmination of things that has been put into play. It's the reason why I'm here, right? In this particular season, in this particular moment. I think a lot of what it is, first of all, is just being discontent, and it's, as PD would coin it, holy discontent, right? I have a discontent about something, and I'm trying to figure out what do I do about that discontent, right? But attached to that is also like, who am I? Like, what's my identity? What's my purpose on this earth? What's he calling me to do? What is he calling me to do in this season, in this moment? And then I couple that with, for me, someone else's obedience, right? And I think preparing for this is, my situation is maybe unique, and people will, we can talk more about that, but honestly, God knows me. He knows I'm not going to move unless I'm one forced most of the time. So it's literally through someone else's obedience that I'm in this season.
That's good.
And I didn't have this revelation until maybe this earlier this week, where I'm like, yo, how grateful do you have to be or and grateful and also selfless you have to be thankful for someone else's obedience, because that person's obedience has now pushed me into this phase of my life, into this season of my life, where I am now, I would say, 5%. It should be 100. I'm getting there. 75 for relying on God and God alone. Like, it had nothing to do with me, because my intention was to stay where I was. Right. In the place of comfort, in the place of unfulfillment is what I want to say. And so I'm so glad that an individual heard a prompting from God or felt this nudge from God to say something, and has now pushed me into a season where I can make a graceful exit into whatever God has for me next. So that's what I'm excited about. And I don't think you know it until you in it.
Right.
I think you sometimes, just like when, as we're us being in Georgia, we feel like we rain in 40 days and 40 nights here. But like, when you look in the sky, you know when it's about to rain. It may not happen in that exact moment, but when I look in the sky, I know at some point it's about to rain. Maybe 10 minutes from now, 15 minutes from now, maybe 30 out to an hour. I know at some point it's going to rain. So I know I'm about to go through a storm. And the question is, do I run from the storm, or do I just sit and let the storm do what it's supposed to do? And I think that is a part of the waiting season, is because in these storms, because, you know, we talked about a lot of different things, but I think storms are meant for, I don't think they're meant for as much destruction as people think.
Yeah.
I think it's meant from a place of God uses storms in order to really get you right.
And I think it goes back to like what you said, like there's many different things that get you to where you are right now. And I think the awareness of being in the way, like you said, you don't know until you're in it. That awareness comes with maturity. Yeah. And that ties in with what I had written. When you know you're in the way, is like, I feel like other people have a part to play in your in you getting into that season. And then also, God is so sweet how he parents his children differently. Like he knows what you need, he knows what I need. And I think that's amazing. Also, I feel like the Holy Spirit showed me that he puts us in waiting seasons when he sees that he can trust us with a promise. And once we get to a position through the trials, and he's like, okay, I can see that I can trust them with the promise, but I have to cultivate something in them during this wait. And we won't be able to notice that until we're mature enough while we're in the waiting season. And there's multiple waiting seasons that we go through. But there's a different caliber when we're mature and we're able to see maybe God's heart in certain things.
And that is what the Apostle Paul talks about in Galatians 4. He literally talks about that. It talks about being an heir to the promises of Abraham, right? But as an heir, until you reach the age in which you can be a guarantor to the promises of God, he literally calls us a slave. That we are literally slaves until we reach the age of maturity, not just physical maturity, but also mental and spiritual maturity. God said, I can't trust you with everything until you mature.
Right.
Because your immaturity is going to cause you to be in a place where you can't, you're going to end up blowing it if I give it to you too early.
Right.
And I think that is, that's literally what I think about as I've been reading the book of Galatians, really Paul's life, or his letters to different entities in the New Testament, but specifically the letter he writes to Galatia. It gives, I think that whole entire book is just so good about what waiting seasons look like, and then what just seasons of your life can look like. Yeah. Right. In which you got to know, first of all, you got to remember what you've been promised. Like, what's on the other side of you maturing? What's on the other side of you getting through this season? Right. What's on the other side of all the pain and the
like, what has God shown you? What has God promised you?
What has God?
Straight up.
And I love how Paul always references a lot in his letters. He always brings it back to the Old Testament. He mentions Abraham a lot, and how that we are heirs to the promises of Abraham. So every promise that God gave Abraham, us being an heir to that. We're going to receive that at some point, but it's at a due point in time. It's at the specific season, and with that comes a lot. It comes with, man. I'll be toe up when I was reading it. I'm like, oh, this is so good. Because if whoever's watching it, if you know anything about Paul, literally when Paul's talked about in the Old Testament, he who was Paul in the Old Testament? People know, like, he Saul.
Yeah.
So he goes through a sanctification period of God. Literally, he not only gets sanctified, but he gets a name change.
Yeah, that's part of the weight.
Right. So imagine that in one part of the Bible, you are persecuting the very thing that in the New Testament you are now teaching. Like, yo, if I'm believes in Galatia, Colossae, like in the feet, like wherever, I'm like, yo, dog, you a hypocrite. I ain't got nothing to hear what you got to say. But to know that, and this is the sweetness of God, that he can take somebody he can take you what you used to be and then take you into something else. And it look completely different. And I think PD said this a couple of weeks ago. It's like, when God starts to give you a new language, it gets a little scary because you don't know what to do with yourself. Right. Because that is a part of the waiting season, is the transformation point to where, like, you start talking different. You start,
wanting different things.
Like, you start wanting, your appetite changes. And when your appetite changes, you start doing stuff a different way.
That's part of that maturing process.
And that's a part of the maturing process, right? You can say, like, I know, like, I don't like Brussels sprouts. I don't like the taste of Brussels sprouts. I'm like, maybe if I get a little more mature in my palate, I might start liking Brussels sprouts. Thanks. Because my palate has now matured in a different way.
You had said something earlier, and we're so far from that now. But it reminded me of something we had spoken about a couple weeks ago, which was the different facets to the word wait.
Yeah.
We had spoken about two.
Yeah.
The timing wait.
Yeah.
And then the weight being literally
the weight.
Physically weight.
Physical weight. Yeah.
And then as I was driving today, the Lord showed me, and it was, okay, you had said we're slaves.
Yeah.
Until, like, we're mature enough to, but we're always slaves. I mean, we're
to a degree. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's what we're here to do. We're here to serve. But to wait.
Yeah.
Another word is like to serve.
Yeah.
To wait on. And so I feel like during our waiting season, that's what we're supposed to be doing. It's not just waiting for time to, like, it's an intentional wait. It's a service, and it's gonna be heavy because it's not easy. Like, your appetite changes, and you're not gonna be going with the norms of society and what we're used to, especially if you're fighting this old you that was a couple chapters ago, and then you're over here doing something completely different. People would, they're gonna call somebody a hypocrite. But even in that way, the Lord, he does the sanctification, and then our fruit gets to show.
And here's the good part. Here's what I believe. And this is a belief I have. It's not what everybody has. But I believe that God blesses those who bless his people. Like, I'm not saying God won't bless you if you don't bless his people, but I know that he does well above if you go ahead and bless his people, especially while you wait.
I mean, the Bible, that's what the Bible says. He gives seed to the sower.
Right. So I think as you're waiting, if somebody's like watches this and they're like, yo, I'm waiting on God to do something. Right. Go bless somebody else. Go be a blessing to somebody else. Because by you being a blessing to somebody else, it takes you out of the equation.
For sure.
It hopefully reminds you that by you being a blessing, you are sowing what you want to eventually will reap.
Yeah, especially if you're doing it in the specific area that you're waiting on.
And sometimes, and I'm even going this. Sometimes it's not that area you waiting on. Maybe who's just going to bless God's people in a unique way that's different from what you're doing. Like, literally, God gave me a prompt. Like, I'm sitting in my car maybe a couple weeks ago before I head out to Vegas, and I knew something I was going to do. Once I got back, I was like, yo, I'm gonna take care of some stuff, and whatever money I get from that, I'm gonna use it to like, funnel some stuff. I'm in the car. God is like, no. It convicts me that moment. Says, you're gonna take that money you get, and you're gonna give it back to my people. Specifically, he's like the homeless. I was like, oh, and then I take it back to a time in my life where I used to go when I lived in New York. I used to go to Times Square. I did this for like maybe a couple years straight, and I basically made care packages for the homeless and would just go and hand them out. I had old clothes, would just go take them down to Times Square to get the people. And it's crazy because now that I'm in this space I am now, I'm literally like, God, like, okay. So when I hear what I hear, I'm like, Doc, okay, cool.
Yeah, it has a big thing to do with obedience too.
And I was gonna get to that later, and we'll touch back on obedience later. But I think a lot of it is just making sure that while you're waiting, you are being a servant first, because if our goal is to be like Christ, he was the ultimate servant.
Right.
His life was servitude.
Right.
That was his life. And even when he could, even at his, and I was literally saying this yesterday to somebody, even at his weakest point on the cross, where he could have said, Father, he literally says, Father, take this cup from me. He still chooses to serve.
And be obedient.
And be obedient to what he had to do.
Correct.
Right? Not what he wanted to, but what he had to do. So I think while you wait, go be a blessing to somebody else. Right? Like serve, if serve in your church, serve in your community, try to impact your community in a unique way, serve your friends, serve your family. Like, there's going to be times where like people will call and may need advice or whatever the case may be. That's still a form of serving. It may look different than what everyone else. Everyone's is not blessed with certain ways to serve. Right. Everything is different for everybody. So, but yeah, and getting back to the original point is we talked about the different, when we think of wait, right? We think of obviously waiting for something, waiting as in serving someone else, but then also the weight of the calling that God has put on your life. When a calling, and this is my testimony. This is just me. The weight I feel on a daily basis of the calling that God has put in my life is so heavy, and it's so heavy to the point where I sometimes don't know if I'm ready for it because I don't want to mess it up, because it's of that importance. I think when you know the weight and the magnitude of the calling that God has put in your life, you want to make sure that you are ready for it and you can receive it and you can operate out of the right heart posture with it. But it's also one of the scariest places to be, especially if God also in your waiting season and as you're experiencing the weight of the calling, he starts to show you provision of what it looks like, it's going to look like. And I don't know about, and this is me being young in ministry, right? And maybe I'll encounter somebody who's older in ministry who has experienced this, but like, I don't want this. I don't want this one. Not like, hey, if we get give me something else. Like, I don't want this one.
I'm glad you brought that up, because
I want this.
I feel like I've said that to you before, but also I want to convey, if somebody else is listening and they feel similarly and they feel like they have this weight and they're able to see what God is doing, it's like, one, God doesn't need us. Like, he can do everything he wants to do without us, but he desires to use us, which is so sweet that he wants for us to collaborate with him. If he's called us to do something, he's going to provide everything we need. And I think that's so cool that you're able to see glimpses of the future. The Lord knew better than to give me glimpses of the future, because I'd be running with it. And he knows how to parent his children differently. But I love that for you because it's exciting. Oh no! But it's not exciting for you.
I don't love that for me.
But
just so we're here, folks, I don't love that for me right now.
If God's called you to something, he's going to make sure you have everything you need to be successful in that. And yes, I understand the weightiness, because you have to make the right decision along the way. But you're on that path. So I don't know what you're scared about, because you're already on the way.
And what's crazy is it's not even a scare. It's not even a. And this is where, again, this is not where I wanted to go with comment, but this is where deposits happen. And I think this is where church trauma does to people. Is because when God calls us, we sometimes we go back to stuff that we've seen in the past, right? And I've been in church all my life. Like, I call myself a PK kid who's not a PK kid, like a true PK kid. Like, I was raised in the church, like, heavily. My entire, like, family is ministry, like, literally. So I only know ministry one way, right? I only know it from the pulpit. And I said to God, I was like, God, if you're going to use me in that way, Doc, we're going to have a strong conversation about what, like, between me and you, about what that looks like. Because I don't want to do it the way I seen it. I said, because that, I know what, we're going to have to find some other way to do this, because that, the price of that, I've seen what it does to family. And that's not a sacrifice. Like, you know, my heart is to pour into my family. I don't want to have to sacrifice my family for that. So I say all that to say, I think when you feel the weight of that, and also you start to, like, I think for me and the season I'm in is that I start to recall, like, I start to see a lot of what was said over my life from when I was younger. Like, God has literally allowed me in this season to, like, go back in time, and recall certain moments of my childhood in which I was told this was what I was going to do. Like, from young. Like, I called my mom one day. I was like, yo, you remember, like, me being told when I was younger, like, I was going to preach the word of God? She was like, yeah, which time? What you mean, which time? I'm talking about the one time that I recall. And she's like, no, like, and she ran me through this several times when I was a kid, the ones that I don't remember, of when people literally told her or told me in her presence that this is what your son was going to become.
Right.
And so to have that, and then to start seeing, like, again, I talk about God giving me a provision, like, to start seeing stuff in dreams and start audibly, like,
that's awesome. He's preparing.
It's all preparation. It's all preparation. It really is. But at the same time, it's like, it's heavy.
Yeah, for sure.
It's heavy. Like, I don't take, I think this is something that's important to me now that I'll be honest and say, I don't take winning souls for the kingdom lightly.
Yeah.
Like, and also being a good steward over what God has given me lightly.
Absolutely.
Because
that's good.
If you can God, the word says that if he can trust you a little, he'll give you a lot. And dude, the little you giving me right now, it feels like a lot. To other people, man, like, no, you're all right, Doc. No, Doc, this feels like a lot. Especially coming in the season I'm in right now. Man, I'll tell you something right now. I'll be in my house ready to run some nights because I'm like, oh, you up to, you, like, you know, your grandparents say, oh, you up to no good. Not mean that you really up to no good, but oh, you up to something. Yeah. Like, that's how I be talking to God, like, candidly. I'm like, yo, you up to no good, bro. Because I said, if I'm in this season feeling this way, imagine when I come out of this season and I no longer feel this way.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm scared of me, but I'm just scared of, like, yo, you finna become somebody. You're finna become the person that God has always wanted you to be. And when I look in that mirror, Pastor Dudley was talking about this on Sunday. When I look in that mirror, oh my God, I'll be ready to run around my house some nights because I'm like, you finna use me. Like, you finna use me, this imperfect guy, to do what? You sure? And not saying that I'm a bad person. Have I made mistakes in my life? Yeah, everybody has. But you finna use me, Doc? like this dude here, and that's the weight that's the weight of the calling that I think a lot of people say they want to be used by God, but don't even really know what it means. You want to be used by God? Okay. When he tells you to lay down your Isaac, go ahead and ask you if you really want to be used by God, for sure. Because it ain't the most comfortable place to be in. I never thought, and this is me being a fool. I never thought I would listen to PD say all the time about how God's telling him to lay down Isaac and about his life or whatever, and I was like, I'll never have to do that. LOL, JK. I'm in very that. Yeah. So that I'm like, and hopefully one day I'll be able to have a conversation with PD about this. I'm like, how do you navigate that? To wake up every day and not want to grieve a life that you like, how do you not wake up and not grieve every day? Because that's the tough part I'm having right now. Is I'm grieving that. I'm grieving my plans for my life, for what God's I'm literally grieving my own plans. Right. Because if I had it my way, if me and God was like, oh yeah, we gonna do, yeah, he gonna come to my plans, cool.
Absolutely.
But the fact that I'm now in this season of this waiting season of career transition, but also like the ministry calling, like, is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. If you asked me 3 or 4 years ago, would I be sitting in this seat saying exactly what I'm saying to you now? Aaron would have told you a lie.
Yeah.
A lie.
I think God is really dope.
Bro, for real.
Because just listening to you, because I mean, I feel like I've told you we're very similar.
Yeah.
And a lot of things, even like the words growing up, like I have a list, and then things on CDs, prophetic words that I'm grateful that my parents recorded. It's just
I wish I had that.
Now, whenever you get a word, you better pull that phone out, or if somebody knows, you better tell the people around you, have that phone ready, because I have recordings, which is wonderful to have, because you can always look back. Yeah. But you have great memory, so the Lord, He gave you that for a reason. But just looking at you and just hearing how you're going through this, and remembering when God called me out of the hospital, and when He called me to doing this and other things, Bible study, all this stuff, it's like, that's hard. But also, as you're speaking and me going through the amount of losses, physical, like people dying and jobs and all this stuff the last 4 years, I'm noticing that grief in itself, at the beginning, it's always tough.
Yeah.
But as time goes, we continue to grieve. Yeah. But it gets easier. Yeah. Like, it still comes, but it does get easier. And we know that PD still grieves. Yeah. We've seen him. Yeah. And he's conveyed it. So grief it's linear. Like, you're gonna continue grieving. It's gonna be constant. It's gonna pop up. Yeah. But it's how we react to it. Yeah. But I appreciate your candor.
I think that's what a lot of people, not even say a lot of people, that's what I think most of the time when I talk to people of late, or I make a video or make a post or whatever on TikTok or on IG, I try to convey, like, Doc, I'm not who, like, this version you see now, or this sanctification period I'm in, is not even close to what I thought, like, if you
would look like.
It would look like even my life in general, like,
our ways and thoughts are not,
like, and one of my favorite verses in the Bible right now that constantly reminds me and really keeps me in the place of humility most of the time is Proverbs 19:21, in which it says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails." Like, I can have my plans all I want, and sometimes my plans are in His will, but there's also sometimes that my plans are not in His will, and He allows me to experience certain things to show that you don't need to be around this, Doc. This ain't even close to what you Like, you cook.
Or it's like, this is what you thought you wanted, but it's like, oh.
Which is really a part of the season I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, and a coworker of mine who I we have some good candid conversation. He's like the fact that you're having this revelation at this young of an age. He's like, I wish I'd have had it at your age. I wouldn't have wasted so many years of my life. And I said to him, I don't feel fulfilled. I said that maybe like a couple months ago to a coach of mine. I was like, I just don't feel fulfilled. So I was looking to pivot, and because I knew like what one of my goals is to impact the lives of God's children, right? Especially like youth. Like that's the population like I have a heart for. Like, as much as I want to say I don't have a heart for them kids, AJ love the kids, like, through and through. And I think a lot of it is understanding what comes with that. Like, I think you get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of just going to work every day and doing the status quo and being at this level and doing these things. But are you even content with where you are? Are you fulfilled where you are? I've had so many talks with like people in the league, and in their conversations, one of the things that they say, a lot of men, I won't say women. The women I have we talk about something that's a little bit different, but a lot of the men I talk to that have got skin in the game for real, they say one of the things, if I'd known what I know now, I probably wouldn't be doing this because of the sacrifice it takes. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, what? Like, and I'm like, yo, you get to a point in your life where there's certain things you don't want to sacrifice anymore. And I think God knew well before I did I was going to get to this point.
For sure.
In November of last year, this when God actually I started getting these thoughts in my head about my time being up. In November, I remember one time I was on the phone with my friend. Shout out to Amy and Prince, because at that time they had just got engaged, and she called me from St. Lucia. She was talking to me on the phone. I said, Amy, like, I feel like my time is about to be up. It's November of last year. It's like, but I'm thinking, okay, I know my time's probably gonna be up, but I didn't know how quickly the time was gonna come. Fast forward to January. Early in January, I'm on the call with my therapist. We talking, and I say to her, if God want me to go, I'll go. And then I'll probably start saying that exact statement every month since the beginning of the year, every month. And it wasn't until the halfway point in which my words became true. When God says, it's time to go. He said, I know you ain't going to do it the way. I've been nudging you for a while about it.
Right.
So here comes where we get back to obedience. Here comes somebody else's obedience, and how that person's obedience is put me into the waiting season I'm in now, and truly I think was a part of the because I knew what God was doing, but a part of that was also giving God a yes. Like, that was also the part of it. And I think while you wait, you're waiting on God, and circling back to the heart of what we're talking about. Why you wait on give him a yes? And you can do it scared, because I did it scared. I fell to my knees that night, and I wept like no tomorrow, because I was so scared. And a lot of it was my fear, or feeling scared because of past stuff, probably. But I also knew that what me giving God my yes came at a cost, which was my wants for my life in exchange for his. But the word also says that his ways are higher than ours. Facts. And because I know that his ways are higher than ours, I take solace in that most of the time while I'm waiting.
Right.
Don't mean I don't be struggling. I definitely do be having my days. But I also know that, like, even on my worst days, God is still good. even on the days I cry, sometimes uncontrollably. Like that's when I know. That's when I know God is the greatest, even in my tears.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you'd asked again, going back to I've probably said it a number of times already. If you'd asked me, I've cried more in the last 45 days than I probably ever cried in my entire life. Outside of me losing my grandfather, like, and my aunt, and some months back to back. Like outside of that, I probably cried in the most in these last 45 days.
But you've probably also been like the most faith-filled in your whole life in the last 45 days.
Faith, yes. Turning 30 was like a
switch.
Again, go back to maturity. For me, maybe I just hit that spiritual and emotional and physical maturity, and he was like, here you go. You're going to start to feel it all.
I feel like waiting seasons are like gym sessions, and it's like each season you get stronger and stronger, because if I look at old seasons, I feel like I wouldn't wait the way I wait now.
Yeah, but I'll even compare it to this. I wouldn't compare it to gym sessions. I would compare it to gym cycles.
Okay.
And for people that may be in part of sports, like, or in strength conditioning or in a space, that's what I consider waiting season. He's like, you go through a periodization period to where a block period, how we call it, to where in this season you are working on this thing. So let's say I got a group of athletes that I'm working with, and in this block, one of the primary focuses we're working on is power. Right. So if I'm working on power, I'm not doing a lot of reps. I'm doing short reps, low sets and low reps for those major power exercises. I'm talking about like a squat, or so I'm going heavy. So the weight is increased, but I'm trying to increase my power, right? I might be pairing that with like some type of jump mechanism or jumping exercise or whatever the case is, right? So I consider waiting seasons like blocks, like exercise, like period, like exercise blocks or training blocks, to where each block I'm working on something different. Because each waiting season works on something different.
Yeah.
Every waiting season doesn't work on the same thing.
I was reading this week, and weekend, I was reading, John 15. Okay. So I was reading all of John 15.
Yeah.
And it was talking about how Jesus said, like, I am the true vine and my Father's the gardener. And so lately I've been, we're talking about the waiting seasons. We're in waiting seasons. And so as I was reading that, I was like, okay.
Oh, you about to hit something. I know you about to go to it.
And then as you were talking, it made me think about, every season is working on something different. And because we're able to mourn and cry, but still keep going day after day, is because we're in the vine.
Yeah.
So when the Bible says, I'm the vine, you're the branches, right? Apart from me, you can do nothing. But also, it's, as I was looking at this, people look at vines and they think of it as like a nuisance, or just like storms. It's like it's inconvenient. People often cut vines off trees and like off of things that they're growing on.
Yeah.
But I had to do some research, like vines. There's no reason like Jesus would compare himself to be a vine if it was not good. And so vines provide nutrients. They allow us to, or they allow branches to bend and towards the sun, and they keep them steady. And vines also cause for branches to be pruned. Okay? And so a vine,
I was waiting for you to say the word. I was waiting for you to say the word.
A branch doesn't get pruned.
Yep.
Unless it's in a vine.
Yes. And
so each of these waiting seasons are because God is holding us, and he's nurturing us, and the pruning is because he wants us to grow in the right direction.
Exactly. And
so each season of pruning and of storms and waiting is because he's looking at us and he says, okay, I need to grow in this direction. This is off. Yeah. He's cutting that piece. Yeah. And then we're able to grow, and he's like, hold up. I need you to wait because I need to cut this off. But also, in the waiting season, it also touches on what we were talking about before. Is like the trap of free will. We can easily get out of the vine. We can easily get out of the vine and do whatever we want to do. But we have to be mature enough to know that because we're going, count it all joy. Because we're going through this, God is building something in us. He wants us to become the person that he's called us to be.
Yeah.
Perfect, mature, lacking nothing. There's no perfect person other than Jesus, but he's called us to be something, and we can't get there if we don't stay in it.
I love, one of the things I love about the Bible is one of its richness, but talking about like it talks about like trees a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about plants. It talks about a lot of like things that are grounded in the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are great metaphors for how we should live our life.
Mm.
That sometimes we have to live in certain seasons. We have to be grounded to where we're a seed in the ground, sprouting roots. And sometimes those roots, you can't see roots most of the time until you pull something out, right? You uproot something. But once you start seeing harvest is when something starts being sprouted or whatever. But people also forget that there's a pivotal process, which you said is pruning. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a necessary process. Right. It's necessary.
It hurts.
And it hurts. Like, even when people go and prune their plants, like, or they whatever they have in their garden, it's not a painful. You get stung by thorns and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, it don't feel good. Yeah. But it's a necessary part of growth.
And it allows the plant to be fruitful. And that's literally what you're talking about. It's a fulfillment. It's like, yes, we can do things and do it well, but it's like, is there fruit? Is there fruit that's not just blessing others? Because we can do things and be fruitful, but is it something that we can feel the benefits of as well as we're blessing others? Because that's truly what doing the Lord's work does. It's like, when we bless others, he also blesses us in return. And that's not necessarily what we're doing it for, but it is definitely a piece of the process.
But I think when you have a heart of expectation for God to do something, mm-hmm. you got to do something. You gotta act in a way that shows God you're ready to receive.
Mm-hmm. Like PD talks about building an ark. If you know it's going to
rain. If God tell you to go do something, do it.
Facts.
Because again, knowing the cost of disobedience, like the question is, are you willing to pay that cost? Mm-hmm. That cost too steep for me now. I've paid the price of being disobedient. I paid the price of being impatient. I paid the price of it all. I've lived a long life. I'm old. I'm old coded for real. I might be 30. I might be 30, but like I done lived a long time. Boy. Like, and one thing I come to know is like I know what it's like to live outside of God's will. Mm-hmm. And because I know that and I've experienced that, I can no longer do it. Yeah. Even though what I want, what I like right now, I'm in a season, season I'm in this period I'm in, it's like I know what I want, but I know what's gonna serve God better. Mm-hmm. And because I know that, I have to go with that option. I have to, because going the other option is disobedient. Mm. Although I know it would fulfill me. I won't say I might have more fulfillment, because I might not. But I think I will. But that's about just being, this is my humanist talking. It's not even, that's, option 1 deals with humanness. Option 2 deals with spirit. The question is, which one do you want?
And I think that's cool that you're thinking about what serves God more, because a lot of people, and even I would look at it selfishly, is like, I know what it is to be outside of God's will so much that I don't want that. Like, I want to stay safe. I want to have a life. I want to live a life that isn't as difficult as it is when I'm outside of the will.
But I think, and I heard this last night, and this told me up, right? I was watching this video on TikTok. He said, just because you follow God don't mean your life is going to be not difficult.
Facts.
Like, you still going to have to encounter difficulty.
Most definitely.
Like, that's just a part of the game, Doc. Whether you in his will or not against his will, you still gonna have to experience difficulty.
But it's mad easier.
It's a little bit easier if I know that, like, all right, God, you only got me in this thing for this little bit.
And you got me in here for a reason, because we have to know the nature of God when we're going through life. And if we're followers of Christ, we have to get to learn the nature of God, but also the nature of the enemy. Because once you know that, you're able to look at things and say, okay, this is happening because of this, or closed doors hey, that's a good thing, because God doesn't close a door that he's not going to open another one that's so much better than what he closes for.
I'll tell you this, and from experience, this is more my current experience right now. The fact you bring this up. Imagine you are, this is my life, so I don't mind talking about my life. You're sitting in revival on a Saturday. You know that God has been prompting you to potentially move and transition. An opportunity presents itself. Randomly, you're not looking for it. It just comes. And you like, yo, what? And you thinking that this opportunity is in the will of God. Because this is me being honest. Because I was in church when I got the word. So like when I got the message, I'm thinking that this is God. And it could be. It could 100%. But the question becomes that you have to ask yourself is, if certain things start to happen and you're like, okay, God, I see what you're doing. Like you lining things up real good. And I'm even falling short as I'm sitting here saying this. I'm convicting myself. Okay? I'm convicting myself. And I say this to say, like, imagine God starts lining stuff up for this thing to potentially happen, and you start giving man credit for it. So God, in this moment, I apologize. I apologize.
Wow.
I sincerely apologize. Because that's why the door closed.
Wow.
I didn't even, what? I'm sitting here like, and this is my life right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, that's why you messed up, Doc. Because you was giving everybody else credit.
Wow.
Everybody else credit. Instead of the one who orchestrated it all. There's a reason why he had it happen this way. And then when it happened, and like, and so Lord, I apologize. Like, I am so sorry. So sorry. Like, I gotta repent in the moment, because
and you know what,
I'm tore up right now, because that right there.
Sometimes God gives us opportunities, and it's not always God, because sometimes he shows us opportunities to see our heart, but sometimes the enemy knows what we're looking for too.
He does.
And he'll place things in our laps. And where you're at, we're both in different waiting seasons, but what I like to think about when you were giving that story was like, so like, I'm waiting for my husband.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even have to be in the church. If somebody came up to me and it matched what I'm looking for, you could think, oh, is this from God? But you have to be able to give something back up, because there was a season where Proverbs, it was in my Instagram bio, everything, because the Lord was showing me, is like, you can have whatever plans you want, but it's my, like, you always, even when I was going to college, everybody's like, what do you want to do? I was like, whatever the Lord, whatever. I was saying that. That was weird.
Yeah.
When me thinking back, like, who was I? But I would say that, graduating from high school.
Yeah.
Random. But now I'm thinking, like, Lord, like, you give it to me, like, cool. But if you take it away, it's got to be cool too, because whatever you're going to give is good. And so even in that, he wants to test our hearts, so we can, like, if somebody were to come my way and they have all these qualities that I desire, and I've been in a waiting season for 8 years now, and I can go on dates and like interviews, whatever, but then if I see something that doesn't align, I have to be in the position where I'm like, okay, Lord, I know what you promised, I know what you have for me, I'm willing to let this go for whatever you have, and show me if that's the case.
Man, so again, I'm in two separate waiting seasons. I'm in a career waiting season, and I'm also in a marriage waiting season. As a single guy who is waiting for his wife, I think it is it's an interesting piece to be in, especially from a man's perspective, right?
You can kick those off.
No, I'm all right. This is me think.
I'm more so thinking because of shoes on my blanket.
Oh my God. On the flow down, but no. As a man who is like again seeking, right? Who is seeking not only career advancement or career trajectory or career alignment with God's will, and also seeking kingdom marriage as well. Like I do know that like it comes. The reason why I'm waiting is because I'm not ready for it. You know, like especially from a relationship perspective, like. And we had a conversation about this, and although your viewpoint on it is different from mine, but I do feel like sometimes God makes you wait because he needs to see if he can actually trust you with what he's going to give you, especially when he knows he's giving you something before and you blew it. Like,
no, I agree with that.
Yeah, and sometimes the wait feels like punishment. It sure enough does. Because I can say it's from being a first-hand example that, Lord, I've been single for a while. Okay, this waiting feel
right.
Okay, but I think the sweetness of it and then the beauty of it in and of itself is there's something, and this is how I frame it, and it helps me every day. Is there's something I'm lacking right now in term that I haven't, I won't say mastered, not the word I want to use here, but that I haven't had the chance to grow in an area yet.
Right.
That is the reason why I haven't met my kingdom spouse yet.
That sounds like preparation.
It is.
Not punishment.
No, and I was gonna get to that. It's I don't see a waiting season as punishment. I see that as preparation, right? I'm being prepared. I'm being groomed for something, and groomed in a good context, not a bad context. But like I'm being groomed for something great.
Right.
But
next time on Daddy's Girl Podcast.
But I also know that the assignment that's on my life, my partner, God has specifically made sure my partner understands that.
Right.
And I have to have a partner who wants to go through that, like wants to be a helpmate in that. Because when you got a call on your life, no matter what it is,
right. Yep.
You got to have a partner that's going to be able to really support the season that you're in,